talking basketball, Mike, for me, the NCAA tournament always has the most excitement in basketball all year long. But for this year, there was no shining moment. I've had plenty of shining moments in the NBA playoffs. What are your take on the NCAA compared to what you're getting in the NBA's rendition of it?
Most years the NCAA tournament is about underdogs, and this year you didn't have much of that. Most years the NBA, you know by the middle of the season that there's 2, maybe 3 teams that have a serious chance to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
This year we have 2 conference final series that are really competitive, in which the so-called underdog doesn't really look like an underdog. So you're right. I think this year is away from the stereotype for both the NCAA and the NBA playoffs.
And I think we look at the Orlando-Cleveland matchup. The mighty Cavaliers with LeBron have been standing around a whole lot, and Orlando's got a bunch of shooters. I think you used the term when we were talking earlier, sort of a European style. Calipari does this a lot with now Kentucky, but when he was at UMass, and then also
this
at
dribble drive motion thing that's what he calls it. It really is a European style where you kind of spread people out, shoot threes. They have a guy that they can throw the ball into in the paint in Howard, which makes a huge difference. And they are a tremendous matchup problem for Cleveland, much more than I think anybody would have anticipated. And the other thing is, going through the season, I thought Cleveland's supporting cast did not look like the type who in the playoffs would end up 4 guys standing around watching LeBron, but we have seen some of that. And maybe we have to give Orlando a little more credit for that defensively. And I want to point out, because nobody in the media wants to mention this at all except me, Orlando is doing this without an all-star point guard. Jameer Nelson, who it's like the Twilight Zone. We've forgotten this guy existed. But anyway, I'm very impressed with what Orlando's been able to do.
I've been really impressed with what Denver's been able to do, and that's have a bunch of guys contributing, even their bench with this. What's this guy with his hair and the
Birdman?
Anderson. He's got tattoos everywhere. It's sort of a Dennis Rodman type. Energy off their bench. He gets a lot of rebounds, creates havoc on the boards. They've got that J.R. Smith, who was supposed to be he'd still be at North Carolina. He was a high recruit for them, and he's cranking out threes.
He was big last night. Yeah.
The big thing is they've been called the Denver Thugs because of some of their play. Kenya Martin, Jones, Trippin, Kobe. I think that's to get into Lakers' head a little bit. The Lakers maybe are perceived as a little bit
I think
soft.
The Lakers are perceived as being, except for Kobe, are perceived as being a pretty soft team. And I do think Kenyon Martin, to me, is a dirty basketball player. But I do think that it's what we're seeing is Denver really taking the fight to the Lakers physically and getting after them. And particularly last night in Game 4, they should be able to out-rebound the Lakers. They did, and decisively so in a big win last night in Game 4. So you know, I mean, I'm impressed with what both of these underdogs are doing. Possibility of a Denver-Orlando championship series, which I hope that David Stern is not a fan of the show, because if he hears me say that, it's cardiac time for David.